Hey guys, it's me, Juan. I'm here at the beach. Yes. Um, we're almost to our next sub goal. Yay. I do appreciate every single sub and everybody who's checked out my song that I shared with y'all. Um, I appreciate that. Let me share out the live actually. Okay. So there's just a lot of heavy feelings, bro. There's just a lot of heavy feeling, and I think I'm gonna climb up the sand dune. That's what we're gonna do. It's really hot out, and I have a really bad sunburn from being out on the beach yesterday. But I wanted to come check in with y'all and just share what's on my heart, what I'm going through, to have somewhere, someone to share it with. So the Juan fam, okay. Um, Wish I had like a beach. Hey, thanks for the sub. Corpus Christi Beach. It's actually not. I've been going to Whitecap, but this is down further. Look here. Corpus Christi, Texas. Thank y'all for the subs. We are almost to our goal of 150 subs. I appreciate y'all. So I woke up here. I slept here in the car last night under the stars. The stars were really beautiful. The sunset was beautiful yesterday. It was the biggest sunset I've ever seen, like the big glowing pink sun. I've really never seen something like that. It was insane. Okay. And yeah, then last night I came here, drove the car over past the dock. There were fishers and surfers. That it was crazy. And yeah, I slept on the beach under the stars. The stars were beautiful. And then I woke up at like 4 a.m. and saw the new moon, the new moon crescent, like just glowing right above me. And so it was like, wow, saw the sun, the moon, and the stars yesterday. Yeah. So last night before I went to sleep, I haven't been watching much, but I watched a little bit of Jay Shetty's podcast, Hayden Panettiere, on there. And I had to stop the video because it just really, I mean, I've been carrying a lot, clearly, this whole journey and this whole experience, but it really just struck a chord in me because she spoke about her relationship with her mother. And I've been doing my best to let go of my past and, you know, let go of, I haven't spoken to my family in over a year. Anybody from, I've been alone in the world. I don't speak to anyone from the past in order to let go and become the new person I am, right? And to pursue my dreams and rebuild myself and let go of old habits and beliefs and find out who I truly am. So it's been a very lonely, hard journey, but it's helped me discover my truth and to keep this fire going of chasing my dreams and building the life I believe in and sticking to my beliefs. Um, yeah, I would have never, it's just a lot. It's just a lot because, she spoke about how her mom, like, basically she strove like, her mom was her manager, and she strove to please her mom, and perfectionism and achieving, and, how her teachers literally teachers bullied her, how she was cast out from friend groups, people didn't wanna hang out with her, thought she was all of that, like, and she just was very lonely and trying to achieve and follow her dreams and, you know, earn her mother's love, and was placed, like, as a sole caretaker and of her mother's emotions and her family, like, financial needs. And so that just hits back, right? And then when she told her mom, like, like, I just want you to be my mom. I don't want us to work together anymore." Her mom told her, "You owe me," and didn't speak to her again or form a relationship with her, but made it about finances. And that goes back to what I was saying the other day, right, on our when we were speaking, when we were talking, and it was like Matilda, bro, like special sensitive kids growing up around these people that just they're like checked out. They're just into money or television or their own comfort. They're just so self-obsessed, and they can't even comprehend a deeper level of emotions or needs of another human being. It's just all about them and serving them and pleasing them. And no matter how much you do or how great you are or everything you do, like, it's always that guilt and that pressure and that, you know? And so it's just been it's been really hard realizing, all these people like that did know or, thought they knew me that I grew up in, whether it be school, church, like college, like all these different things, all these people that I gave so much, and family, like, gave so much years of effort and care and energy and thought and time and consideration, like my whole being into each one of these people and relationships. And ever since I have been on this journey alone, literally, like, I'm me, like, like nothing about, what I'm saying? Like, maybe they didn't ever really know me, but it's like I'm still the same person I've been, even as I continue to unlearn and relearn things and appreciate my sensitivity and express my true feelings. And it's like every single one of those people, like none of them, like none of them have reached out to me. Nobody has said anything to me. They pretend they don't see what I post, I guess. I don't know. They pretend, like, I guess. And the sad thing is, like, I literally said I was sleeping in my car, bro. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna afford a meal. Like, I'm running around doing deliveries, trying to scrape by. Like, I spent 4 hours on there yesterday to get two deliveries, like, trying to get gas to make up for that driving around and get something to eat. And it's like none of these people that ever knew me, even like, like I'm a human being. And I was always this sweet girl that gave so much love, and like you see that, that person's homeless and struggling and like alone in the world, and you have nothing to you just pretend you don't see it, and you have nothing to say. You look the other way. And then, out in the world, people just they're out for themselves. They don't like, you have to protect yourself, and they're just like, "Oh, she must have somebody." Like, they assume you must have someone there. Like, again, it really just shows you like how the world works, because if I were to be in a relationship or be married or have like any type of job and like just be posting, be like, oh, here's my family, here's my job, da da da. Then people will be like, oh, that's great, like, comment, like, hope you're doing well, da, 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 da. Like, it would never be anything deeper, but it would be that shallow communication and satisfaction. But when someone shares their true passions and what they're really going through and the reality of life, it's dead silence. And I realize, so growing up with a parent that is overbearing and has no boundaries and is mentally ill, and people put it's just sad because there's no one to stand up for you. There's no one to speak up for you. You're under this person's control and the whim of their emotions, whatever they feel that day or want to rant about that day or fly off the handle about. And so you literally learn to adapt to work around their triggers and their emotions and take care of them. And then, the church tells you, oh, just keep catering to them, forgiving them, loving them, be Jesus, sacrifice yourself. And then, the people that I did and then literally getting punished at school and then nobody under like, you just overgive to all these other kids and relationships, and people take advantage, like, if you're not if you don't know how to stand up for yourself or cut people off, like, they will take everything from you, and that and you're left with nothing. And so that has been my journey, right, is learning to stop giving and to stop feeling guilty and to stop taking on the burden of other people's emotions. And I'm very proud of myself for that. I'm very proud of myself for doing that and for standing by that, even though it's meant I've been completely alone. Like, and then it sucks because I try to, I stay positive and I do things that make me happy and I follow my dreams. And then there'll be like crappy people out in the world, and like, you never know what someone's going through, but, like, I tried to go somewhere to dance, and these 2 chicks, like, were sitting there. First of all, you're coping with life to drink on a Monday night and sit there and make fun of what someone else is doing. Like, just negativity like that, people think they're funny, and it's like, what's funny about sitting there being lame and hating on someone else? Like, I was literally just trying to dance to get my blood flowing and energy up and, like, have some fun. And it's like 2 strangers just sat there, "You got it, girl." Like, and I was like, "Oh, come join, come dance." And, like, like, and it's just like, that's the nastiness that's in the world, and it's like, clearly I've been through much worse, but it's like, after going through all that other stuff and trying to still find positivity and get through each day and continue in my dream, like, just stuff like that, like trying not to realizing that still I mean, all of the lessons go together, but I'm not a superhuman, right? I'm not perfect. Like, I'm literally people were not meant to be this alone. And it's sad because, like, I've seen, I'm not the only person that is living like this. Like, I've been seeing people with their children, like, so it's like, yeah, my journey is mine, but, like, it's like I know other people. I just have a whole lot of feelings, and I've come so far though in realizing equality of relationships and respect, and that's where it started, right? Was realizing, first of all, just awakening to how men viewed women and how they, right? Like, my whole journey, I've been sharing it with y'all along the way, but that's where it all started, right? Was realizing just how, like, the stuff they intake, the music they listen to, the way they speak about people, if they speak about one person that way, Like, take what people say, like, listen to how they speak about others, because that is how they feel about people. That is how they feel about human beings. That is the truth. You can hide behind, morality or religion or money or a job or you know what I'm saying, or an like anything to make yourself seem a certain way. But the way, like like a teacher or a pastor, but it's like the way people speak about and judge others, and it's just like, so realizing the complete disrespect, and then it's all just came crumbling sense, realizing how people control one another and disrespect one another, and how much energy and time and care we give and nurturing to other people that don't deserve it. After that video, though, when I paused it, I literally had a nightmare of an argument I've had many times with my mother, actually, about, she was like, well, I didn't beat you. Like, I was trying to explain again my feelings, because I did try to have these conversations even before I left, just to try to explain again as an adult now with this awareness how I felt. And that's when I realized, like, no matter, like, that's what's sad is when you're a child, you try to be heard, and you're ignored and told it's your fault, that you're too sensitive, that, you know, that something's wrong with you, when it's that person's incapacity to even comprehend, to even communicate, to even understand. And so, and no amount of explaining, or no matter how smart you are, or how beautiful, or how rich, or no matter how much of anything, if that person cannot understand, they're not going to. And that is not a reflection of you. And so, but in the nightmare, I was telling her, like, like, explaining again how I felt and how it was emotional abuse and neglect. And she was just saying, well, I didn't beat you. I didn't do this. I didn't burn you. Da, 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 da. And it was like, and there were times, like, there were very borderline times, like times where I was hit in the face. Like, there were, and made, like, literally gotten tussles, like abusive shit. But anyways, right? And then they make it like, oh, you're crazy. Oh my God. What is wrong with you? They antagonize you and take everything out on you, and make you feel all this guilt and this shame and this pressure. And nothing is ever enough. And so, yeah, that was the nightmare, is trying to explain my feelings again and have her understand, and just that trap cycle of realizing that she was never going to hear me. And it's important, right? Because when we grow up in homes like that, and other people make you, when you try to tell other adults, they make you feel guilty and tell you to, your poor mother. Oh, respect them, respect adults, respect authority. Oh my, just do it. You're completely ignoring what this spirit, this child, this human being, they're like, you're invalidating the suffering they are going through and what they're experiencing, because you don't want to deal with it, because you don't want to acknowledge it, or because you're just as shitty yourself. So it's just, and then what really gets me is I saw this sign over, it was like a church sign. It was actually, it was like a child shelter. And then after that was like a church, and it was like, we make the children holy. So it's literally like, you can't, these older people, these adults, they expect children and young people to be perfect to make up for their lack, and you want them to be quiet, sit down, not move, not do anything, not express themselves, not have feelings, not live. You just want to control everything about them, and so you can sit there and be on your phone, or sit there and watch your TV show, or sit there and enjoy your meal. Like, all of this control and ignorance and selfishness, and it has an effect. It has an effect on this human being. It's not just, oh, it was just one time. No, these things have an effect. And I never, and it sucks, right? Because I never, like, I was a quiet, sensitive child, and then my ego developed out of that to, through fantasy of TV and fun, and my icons, and like, I was really vocal and loud and wanted to, be an actress, and be, I got a guitar, and I wanted to be but then I was too insecure because of how I looked, because of the shame and guilt that came from the nasty words of my family. And that's another thing, right? Is I could never even venture the fact that I wasn't straight because of all of the hateful words and all of the, thank you. I appreciate that. Because you hear people say ugly words, right? Like, that's why so many people have body image issues, because they think the worst thing you can be is, and that's what's sad for the children right now growing up, and all these people that are passing their insecurities down to their kids, thinking all their kids have ADHD or dyslexia, when they're like, it's like, bro, they're 8 years old. So what? They spell a word backwards, they'll grow out of it. And you want to put them on pills right away because they're like, oh, there's something wrong with them. No, bro, like, like, we're just human beings. Not everybody is perfect all of the time. Yeah, a kid has energy. They don't want to just sit in the house while you're watching TV or smoking weed. They want to fucking move. They want to go to the park. They want to run around. They want to jump. Like, it's like, all of these different things are just, it's like a whirlwind, bro. It's so upsetting. Because think of all these little lives, these little souls that get crushed because of other people's incompetence, laziness, and insecurity. And that's, there just needs to be more resources and more understanding and less judgment for, because it's like, kids suffer all of that at home, and then you go to school with these other kids that take out their parents' ickiness, and you know, they think, they think that their entitlement, and they put that on these same kids that are suffering at home. So it's like all of this pressure goes on certain groups of people that just suffer. And when they try to speak up for themselves or react or snap, then it's like, oh, that kid, there's something wrong with them. They're dramatic. Oh, let's punish them. Let's give them detention. Let's do that. Like, like just constant, like the eroding and breaking down of the spirit and the control within the society. And then you wonder why there's so many just angry, bitter, like why the shit in the world happens the way it does. But it's like, yeah, I could never even, I don't even know. Like there's just so much going on that I realize every single day that I don't even know like how to put it all into words. And it's like I'm constantly feeling and thinking all of these things, and then realizing how things like espresso affect my body, and it's like wow, like, and then when you're, when you're a teenager and it's like you literally, you have like, you have these young kids doing these things. I'm just now realizing, in my late 20s, how things affect my body, how my emotions and feelings work, and y'all put all of this on super young people, and then give them drugs and alcohol and you know all this pressure and expect them to make these whole life decision, like it's impossible. And y'all want to put all this game guilt and shame and bullying, like, and that's the thing that I like, it's just hard, right? So I'm like, I'm not even I can't even connect every single thing, like, my thoughts are just jumping around here, but it's like just event sesh. Just event sesh with me in the chat and an update about where I've come, because I have come so far. Because it started with me setting and upholding boundaries and speaking my truth and my feelings, even though it was scary, to these people that used me. They used me for entertainment, for validation, for a resource, and I have not heard from any of those people since I set and upheld these boundaries, and which is, good for me, but it just, and I'm happy to let that go. But it's like that, it just again points back to the fact that wow, like once you cut them off and stop giving them what they need, you never hear from them again. So I think a lot of it is, seeing things for what they are and seeing reality for what it is. And that shows you, that's where the grief comes in, of showing how much I really overgave all those years of my time and energy and faithfulness and love and devotion. And that's why you really do, if you don't know these things, you don't know, but that's why you have to put yourself first and foremost and not feel guilty. Yeah, so when you grow up being someone's caretaker, right, and being made to feel guilt and be in charge of somebody else's emotions, it creates that codependency, right? And so those are the relationships that become normal to you, are ones of codependency and taking care of someone else's emotions and managing their lives for them, and becoming their keeping dump of their problems and their insecurities. And So I've come a long way in realizing, realizing all of that for what it was, the truth, not just their words, right? Because that's their reality. That's their version they got going on in their head. But seeing reality for what it is and making that choice for myself to choose myself, to step back and stop instead of overgiving, to step back, cut that cord, and take care of me and let those things go. The grief has just been coming back though, of because the more you realize and the more you circle around, the more that you see things from a different perspective and another layer to it. And so it's like the layers of grief just keep coming around. And it's believing in you and being how you're going to move through that. But again, Pluto has been in retrograde, and Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. So while this has been a death of my old life and my old self yet again, rebirth is coming. But yeah, all those toxic relationships that people get entangled to because they try to, it's repeating. We've talked about it so many times in our old streams and videos. It's just, again, it's been a whole process along the way of continuing to learn it and see it from a different lens. But yeah, it's repeating those cycles with other relationships of what's normal to you, right? Of taking on other people's emotions, trying to prove yourself, trying to prove your worth, trying to prove your value, trying to prove that you are a giver and a lover and a caretaker, and that and that because that's the role that you were given. And so that's the role you carry. Like, so it's been coming out of that and letting go of that, letting go of the past, letting go of the old life, letting go of those old relationships, setting and upholding boundaries. I think what's been difficult now is, going through all this instability and having to be on guard literally to protect myself. Like, you know, because I am a young woman, homeless, sleeping in my car out in the world. Like, that's not safe. Okay. Um, but it's like still being open to connections and relationships and not being on guard with every single person, like realizing that it's okay to let people in. It's okay to be myself. So what, a couple of lame ass people at a bar laugh because they don't move. They sit there drinking their and to cope, and like like just examples like that, because there's always haters or hecklers, whatever the fuck, people somewhere, right? That's not even in that moment. It just felt like a lot because it was triggering. It was triggering to because literally I'm going through all this and was trying to do something to make me happy. And it's like, these demons came out of nowhere just to talk shit. And it's like, damn, bro. Like, let a girl live, let someone live. And that's basically been the story of my life, is let a girl live. Like, why do you feel the need to say something negative? Why do you care? What are you doing? Why do you care what someone else is doing? Why do you care about someone else's actions? usually because you're not doing anything yourself or because you have fears or upset that you can't do that yourself. That was another thing that came to me the other day, right? Is realizing like I have a fear of owning, like with all that control and shame and guilt and the negative words, right? Again, worst thing you can be is fat or ugly. That was what it is because of all these hateful words you hear people saying. And then, like, people that have no emotional intelligence or like even brain matter, like just lames anywhere all over the world, like yapping. Like, people think that's the worst thing you can be. So, like, these kids grow up thinking that and they're like, I can't, but like, it's like life or death because they think that's where their worth comes from is the outside. And people carry that until their dying date. Like, so there's that. And then also, again, that's why I could never explore the path of not being straight because I was, raised to be a good wife and mother and like a good girl. And so ugly negative words like you know, making fun of people that weren't straight, like I don't know what words you can say in here, but all the slurs, like, you know, and like how that's ugly and unacceptable and how there's something wrong about it. Or, something different, something wrong, like it's not normal. It's not natural. Like, so it's like you could never even like, if the word, so it's like, oh, like, you can't be, literally all of these things and these hateful things, you try to avoid all of these, you try to please other people, take care of other people, and be all these things. But it's like, who am I and what do I want and what actually makes me feel safe and comforted and at peace and restful and joyful? What gives you energy? Like, what fills you up instead of drains you? You know, not mothering other people, not taking care of everybody else. Like, what serves you as a human being? We're not taught to think that way. That's something I have just learned in all of this. And I think that was one of the biggest things I realized too about what it is to be a woman, right? Versus what it is to be a man. Because it is a man's world, honey. Pelicans. Yeah. The butterflies. The birds and the butterflies. The birds are actually swimming. I was swimming all these last couple days. I'm burnt AF. It literally, if you cannot see, I'm so sunburnt. She had to take a day, which we need to get out before I need to get away from the sun before it's already midday now. We need to get out before I get more sunburnt for real. I'm gonna check out the art museums. Yes. I'm gonna check out the art museums um, today and satisfy that within myself is the art and expression and enjoyment and inspiration, positivity. But yeah, that's the hard part, right? Is trying to find connection now that I can, being open to trusting. And now that I know, like, now that I'm mindful of my boundaries and my energy and, my goals and my dreams, like just finding equal relationships of balance, reciprocal relationships, you know, where people just are truly themselves. And, it doesn't have to be extreme or heavy. Just think, you know what I'm saying? Like literally just being kind to one another. Like, things that just aren't depressing. Things that, and that's not to say, ignore, whatever. I don't have to over explain it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, reciprocal, caring relationships where people have fun and enjoy one another and care for one another. Um, Not just one person doing all of the heavy lifting, the carrying of both people. And, I just heard Chapel Roan's song Phenomenon yesterday too, and that hit. Then I was like, what the hell? Like, because it was just so accurate. It was literally talking about, oh, like, you did everything you were supposed to, and you ended up with this boring life in this relationship where you're taking care of someone, and it's like, are you really happy? And so it's just like, that's really the case because people, I know my generation was raised literally with with people whose parents controlled everything, like made all their choices for them, controlled all, read their text messages, watched them through cameras, like crazy shit. And it's like you have to do all that to, like we're just meant to be human beings. Think about that. They didn't do all that and the cavemen and the ranger days and things like that. Like we grew up, they grew up and they lived on the land, like, and they were who they were meant to be. And now it's like we're a police state and you police your homes like that and one another and people police one another like that. And that's why everybody's so uptight and dissociated and needs to numb out, right? Because it's like you're just looking for some escape. And that's was my goal, right? Is to that I'm on a journey to live a life that I don't have to escape from. Shout out to New Zealand. Corpus Christi, Texas, not Los Angeles. Corpus Christi, Texas. It does low-key though. I've been noticing that it does look like it really does look like California out here. Less seaweed from what I remember though. But yeah, that's the struggle to find connection. And it's hard, right? Like after putting up those walls, after being all those old years of crappy relationships and bullying and like traumatic friendships and people just being controlling and constantly drama and all the unnecessary shit. Like it makes you defensive and it makes you not want to let people in. And then, so when situations like where you go out somewhere and people are negative, it makes you put up those walls again. And it's like, damn, like I just want to go outside and do things and be myself and be free and have positive energy around me. Let me dance and sing my songs. you know? Let's vibe. Okay. Damn. Yeah. Appreciating it. But that's why every bit of support, y'all, I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Um, but yeah, realizing that I'm not responsible for other people's emotions. I'm not responsible for making other people comfortable. I don't need to make other people comfortable. Like I literally don't need, I think that's what's it's like a gut reaction, like literally I'm getting better at it. Like, I don't have to say hello and and make eye contact and say hello and chatter with every single person I see in the world. Okay, that's been helpful to stop doing that. Like, but it's like I literally just it's such a push and pull because I am like uh I do like, like I am a talkative, high energy person. I do like being around people and I do like talking, but it's like, damn, when you're carrying this much and going through so much instability, bro, and like you don't know, like, it's a lot. But yeah, realizing you don't have to make people comfortable, right? Because that's what I spent my whole life doing is catering to the energy and making and working around the energy and making it a good situation and making it comfortable and a good vibe and realizing I don't have to do that. Like discomfort can exist, silence can exist. Like if someone's a crappy person, I don't need to make them happy. I don't need to make them like me. I don't need to be understood by them, you know? You don't have to break up the tension for other people. You don't have to make them comfortable. That's not your job. That's not your burden to carry. Mm. But yeah, letting go of the burdens placed on you by others, seeking healthy, reciprocal, balanced relationships, and seeking real connection. Yes. Seeking real connection, having fun. Spider-Man got caught in my hair. Realizing that I don't have to please other people. I can be who I am, you know? You don't need, like, just because, that's like, it just, all these examples, like, you know, like creepy older men hanging around outside smoking and they look at you or like expect you to say hello. Or like, like they make like people make you uncomfortable to try to make you like hey, like especially older people. They try to stare at you or like get in your personal space to and like to make you say something to them. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to acknowledge them. You don't have to look at them. You don't have to do any of that. Like all of literally that's kind of like all that kind of stuff is new to me. It's just like when you start it's like from the bottom to the top, you start realizing all these things that you've carried, that you've done your whole life, like, and how it's drained you and how it did not serve you. Then you start letting it all go piece by piece. Mhm. And you start feeling freer to be yourself. So, where I started on this journey and how far I've come around, I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Yes, unconditional self love, loving yourself above anybody else, and having your own faith in yourself, faith in a higher power, and knowing what that means for you, not according to anybody else. Ow, fuck. But ow, I want to get out of the sands now. Ow, my butt hurts from sitting. Yeah, it is a hot ass day. It is noon now. The sun is gonna hit its peak. Yes. Oh, y'all can't see those birds. Yes. We love you.